After obtaining the necessary ingredients, Senku asked Kaseki to create a system of glass tubes for making medicine. Thanks to that, Senku created various types of acids through chemical reactions. Seeing this, Kohaku was horrified that Senku dared to use these dangerous substances to make medicine for Rory. In fact, Senku and Chrome even dared to extract a bit of ammonia to refine the medicine. Senku said that they only needed a little more alcohol to have enough ingredients to make the medicine, and Kaseki mentioned that if they won the martial arts tournament the next day, they would be rewarded with a lot of alcohol. Currently, the village chief and his assistants are preparing for the martial arts tournament. Everyone was speechless when they found out that Ginro had registered Senku for the tournament, as according to the rules, no one could forbid an outsider from participating in the tournament. Senku and Ginro believed that the more people from their group participated, the higher their chances of winning would be. However, Kinro showed disgust at their dirty tactics, but Kohaku agreed with Senku and was willing to do anything to save her sister. The next day, after more than half a year, Senku finally set foot in the village and Ruri rushed out to talk to him as soon as she heard his name. However, due to her poor health, Ruri immediately fell to the ground. According to the plan, all members of the Kingdom of Science would take turns fighting Magma until he was exhausted, creating an opportunity for Kinro to defeat him in the final round without exerting too much effort. But it would be better if Kohaku fought Magma in the first round and defeated him right away. However, when everyone found out that Kinro would have to fight Magma in the first round, they felt a bit worried. Senku decided to create a strength-enhancing solution to help Kinro defeat Magma. However, when no one was paying attention, Ginro ate all the herbs intended for making the strength-enhancing solution. So Senku told Suka to go outside the riverbank and gather more herbs for him. Right after that, as the tournament was about to begin, one of Magma's henchmen ran in and reported that Suka had fallen into the river. Senku and Chrome immediately realized that this guy was lying, but Kohaku still felt worried, so she quickly ran to the riverbank to check the situation. It turned out that everything was just Magma's plan to make Kohaku leave the martial arts tournament, because if she didn't return before her match, she would be disqualified. The first match began, and Kinro immediately attacked Magma with his spear, while Suka was captured by one of Magma's henchmen, but managed to find a way to escape. Just as she returned to the village to watch the match, Suka realized that Kinro also had poor eyesight when she saw him squinting. Unable to see his opponent clearly, Kinro was quickly beaten by Magma. In a critical moment, Suka threw her coconut helmet onto the arena to help him see more clearly. Once he could see clearly, Kinro easily dodged all of Magma's attacks and even counterattacked, defeating him quickly. However, Magma believed that Kinro played unfairly because Suka's helmet had magical powers. So Kinro went to the referee to inquire about the validity of the helmet. While Kinro turned his back, Magma quickly recovered and attacked him from behind. Since Magma had not admitted defeat before, his victory was considered valid. The next match was between Chrome and Magma's short-handed henchman. Everyone had tried to buy time until Kohaku returned to the tournament, because she was the only one who could defeat Magma at this moment. Watching Chrome's match against the short-handed henchman, everyone thought it was a fight between two children. Just as Kohaku returned to the village, Magma forced the short-handed henchman to immediately surrender. It turned out that Magma had known about the Kingdom of Science's plan to let Senku lose to Kohaku so that she could advance to the next round. But she was eliminated because she couldn't make it back in time for her match. However, at this moment, Kohaku only cared about Suka and was extremely relieved to see that she was safe. After Kohaku was eliminated, the only hope for the Kingdom of Science to win this tournament was the dim-witted boy, Ginro. He chewed a bunch of stamina-enhancing herbs and imagined himself as a true warrior, fighting fiercely against his opponent to everyone's surprise. Although his opponent beat Ginro badly, he didn't feel any pain, so he was able to push his opponent to the edge of the cliff and make him fall into the lake. After winning, Ginro was in extreme pain and fainted because he had consumed too many herbs. Immediately after that, the semi-final match, which no one had anticipated, between Chrome and Magma began. Chrome was determined to defeat Magma at any cost to save Ruri, but as soon as the match started, he was overwhelmed and unable to resist Magma's attacks. However, Chrome suddenly threw sand in Magma's face and held Suka's watermelon helmet in front of Magma, which confused everyone. Senku quickly realized that Chrome wanted to take advantage of the lens's focusing effect to burn Magma. However, only a convex lens could focus light, while a concave lens couldn't. But Chrome already knew that, so when lying on the ground, he shed tears and used them to transform the concave lens into a convex one. Jen suddenly appeared, surprising everyone, and seeing Chrome in trouble, Jen decided to lend him a hand. He climbed up high and frightened Magma because he thought Jen was already dead. With Jen's time-stalling strategy, the accumulated light beam from Chrome became hot enough to burn Magma's clothes. Chrome ended the match with a strong blow, causing him to fall into the river. Finally, Senku and the members of the Kingdom of Science were delighted because only they remained in the tournament. Ginro suddenly thought that if he won this tournament, he would be able to marry Rory. So, when the semi-final match between Ginro and Senku came, he put forth his best effort to defeat Senku. In fact, he even wanted to marry all the girls in the village once he became the village chief. Everyone quickly realized that they couldn't let this foolish Ginro become the village chief. So Senku used Suka's hat as a lever and gently attacked Ginro's weak point. When they reached the finals, Senku decided to surrender and let Chrome win. But Chrome suddenly fainted from exhaustion, so Senku unintentionally became the champion of the tournament. When everyone realized that Senku would have to marry Rory and become the village chief, they became very panicked. Unexpectedly, Senku immediately agreed to marry Rory because he wanted to take over the entire village, and he asked the villagers to bring their alcohol so that he could use it to make medicine for Rory. However, when the villagers invited Senku to stay and celebrate the wedding with them, he demanded a divorce from Rory and ran back to the laboratory. Shortly after, Senku made a wooden machine to create a certain chemical compound. Old man Kaseki forced Jen to stay and watch the machine with him, or else he would be hit. Meanwhile, Senku woke up Chrome to proceed with making medicine for Rory. Senku explained that they would need to go through more than 25 steps to make the medicine. When they poured the liquid from the wooden tube, Jen realized it was carbonated water. He immediately ran to meet Senku, thinking that Senku was making Coca-Cola for him, but in reality, the carbonated water was meant for medicine, not Coca-Cola. After dozens of chemical reactions, Senku finally succeeded in creating antibiotics for Rory. When Jen arrived at the laboratory, Jen saw a bottle of Coca-Cola made by Senku for him. He was delighted and drank it non-stop while smiling happily. Senku and everyone then entered the village and gave Rory the medicine that Senku had made. Thanks to that, she was cured of her illness and could happily play with everyone. The village chief was very happy to see his daughter fully recovered, and as a gesture of gratitude for Senku's efforts, he passed on the role of village chief to him. Later, Senku accidentally overheard a revelation from Rory and discovered that this village was called Ishigami, which was also his surname. Furthermore, Rory also knew about Ishigami Senku, even though they had never met. Rory explained that her duty as a shrine maiden was to pass down 100 ancient stories to future generations, and the 100th story was about Senku and his adoptive father. Although they were not related by blood, Senku's adoptive father loved him as his own child and quickly recognized Senku's talent and aptitude in science. After many years of effort, Senku's adoptive father became an astronaut for an international space research organization. When Senku entered high school, his father was assigned to work at a space station. During that space journey, Senku's father met astronauts from different countries, especially a famous female singer named Lillian, who traveled to space for tourism. The crew of Senku's father had many exciting experiences during the trip, and they even supported Lillian in live streaming her singing from space. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Senku began to notice that many swallows around the world had turned to stone. One day, the crew of Senku's father saw a huge beam of light spreading across the entire Earth. They quickly tried to contact the control center underground but failed. When they accessed the cameras on Earth, they discovered that all of humanity had been turned to stone. Senku's father immediately realized that the members of the space crew were the last surviving humans. Senku's father wants to return to Earth to see if he can save the people turned to stone. Following his father's words, the space crew landed in an ocean and luckily drifted to a deserted island. The crew was trapped on the island as they had no boat to return to the mainland. After spending a long time there, some of them got married and had children. Lillian remained sad after witnessing the mysterious petrification of humanity. However, Senku's father believed that Senku would be revived one day, and with his talent, his son would save humanity. Based on this belief, he and the people on the island had to continue living to support Senku when he woke up. When Rory mentioned this, everyone realized that Senku's father and the space crew were the ancestors of their village. However, they temporarily put aside this matter to go and feast with the villagers. Rory took Senku to another place to tell him the final part of the story. As the children on the island grew up, Senku's father wanted to pass on knowledge to them. So he came up with 100 stories that the wise women have been telling to their children until today. Ruri took Senku to his father's grave, along with the founders of the village. Standing under my father's grave, Senku promised his father that he would definitely save all of humanity at any cost. When Senku returned to the village, Gen suddenly informed him that Tsukasa was about to attack. However, Senku was not afraid. He saw this as an opportunity to let Tsukasa experience the power of the Kingdom of Science. On the other side of the bridge, Kinro discovered a group of unfamiliar people hiding in the bushes, so he immediately told Ginro to run back and warn everyone that their village was about to be attacked. The group turned out to be Tsukasa's army led by a mysterious masked commander. Just as Tsukasa's army charged, Kinro used his spear to knock them off the bridge. Seeing this, the masked commander named Hyoga decided that he would personally deal with Kinro. Back to Senku, Gen revealed that Hyoga was as strong as Tsukasa, and while everyone was talking, Ginro arrived to report that they were under attack. Senku and the others quickly arrived in time, but Kinro had already been injured by Hyoga's long spear. Luckily, he managed to grab Hyoga's leg before falling into the river. Suddenly, Senku took out an iron tube and filled it with sand and some gunpowder. When he ignited the tube, magma threw a rock toward the group of Hyoga. Gen pretended to shout that Senku had created a gun to scare away the muscular group. However, Hyoga confirmed that Senku was still alive, and after he left, everyone rushed to pull Kinro up and applied some medicinal powder to his wound. The next morning, Gen advised Hyoga to attack on a windy day, when the Kingdom of Science would have difficulty using gunpowder. In reality, he was trying to buy time for Senku's group to prepare. Senku made a pair of glasses for Kinro to improve his vision in battle, and he wanted to create a weapon to defeat Tsukasa's henchmen. A few days later, when the wind picked up, Hyoga led his troops to attack the village again. But as they ran onto the bridge, everyone rushed out with Japanese swords made from iron, easily defeating the invaders who were armed with stone weapons. To make the Japanese swords, Senku had to heat the iron in a cedar tree to 1300 degrees Celsius and then fold the purified iron to increase its hardness. But due to Hyoga's superior fighting skills, he easily pushed back everyone. When he was about to strike Kohaku, his spear suddenly fell apart. It turned out that Gen had secretly sabotaged Hyoga's weapon while he was resting the day before, and he openly revealed to Hyoga that he had betrayed Tsukasa to side with Senku. A few months ago, Tsukasa freed Hyoga because he knew he was skilled with a spear. Tsukasa also built a stone fortress and gathered many reliable subordinates. However, Tsukasa still felt uneasy as he believed that Senku have not died yet. After being defeated, Hyoga acknowledged the development of the Kingdom of Science, but everyone was shocked to see their village engulfed in flames. It turned out that Hyoga sent a girl named Homura to swim across the river and infiltrate the village to start a fire. The people tried to attack Homura, but she was extremely agile. After Hyoga and Homura left, everyone quickly returned to help evacuate the village. Most of their houses were burned down, so Senku's group took the entire population to their work area as a temporary refuge. Meanwhile, Hyoga's group still stood outside, waiting to continue their attack. Seeing everyone in danger, Suka risked her life to lure the enemy away. Senku and the others were very worried when they realized she was leading them towards the acid lake. Suka then arrived at the acid lake, and the toxic gas blew towards them. Luckily, Senku and Kohaku arrived in time to provide her with a gas mask. Upon hearing Senku mention the poison, the enemy quickly climbed up the trees. Equipped with gas masks, Senku's group easily left the mountain. Hyoga pushed some of his subordinates to the ground to test if there was really poison, and they immediately died. Senku believed that Tsukasa would eventually bring his troops here once he knew he was still alive, and without nitric acid, Senku couldn't free the petrified people because Tsukasa occupied the Bat Cave, the only place where they could find nitric acid. When Gen heard that Senku planned to make a telephone, he was very surprised, and the villagers didn't understand what Senku was talking about. Senku explained that a telephone was a device used for long-distance communication, and he wanted to use it to contact Taiju and Yuzu to get updates on the enemy. Hyoga informed Tsukasa that Senku was still alive in the Ishigami village. If the lake surrounding the village froze in winter, they wouldn't be able to attack. So Tsukasa decided to attack the village when winter ended. Tsukasa also assigned his henchmen to constantly monitor Taiju and Yuzu. He wasn't worried because Taiju's group couldn't contact Senku. Back to Senku, he realized that Tsukasa would attack them in spring. With Senku as the village chief, the entire population gathered to support him. Senku explained that a telephone could convert sound into an electric current, amplify the sound, transmit it as electrical waves, and the receiver could convert it back into sound. Senku's first creation was a cotton candy machine core. When they spun the core, the heated sugar turned into small threads. However, Senku wanted to add gold into the machine and pull it out as golden threads, because they needed a lot of golden threads for the telephone's signal transmission. He tested the machine by making cotton candy for the village, and everyone was incredibly happy as it was the first time they had something so delicious. Senku also discovered that Hyoga had left Homura to spy on their village, so he made a cotton candy and left it in the forest for her to eat, intending to show her the wonders of science through the candy. The next day, Senku created a gear to make the cotton candy machine easier to operate. When the villagers learned that Senku wanted to make a thread several miles long, they were astonished but worked hard to produce each section of golden thread for him. Inspired by Senku's gear, Chrome and Kaseki created a large water wheel, which deeply surprised Senku. Senku then connected the water wheel to the generator to create a mini hydroelectric power plant. Once they had a stable source of electricity, Senku wanted to create batteries to store that power. By simply immersing 2 pieces of lead into sulfuric acid solution, they could create a battery cell, and if they connected multiple cells together, they could have a battery with a higher capacity. On Kohaku's side, she was organizing a training session for Kinro and Ginro to prepare for the upcoming battle with Tsukasa. Senku had also developed a hydraulic system to automate the bellows of the forge. Everyone was delighted to see that their days of manually operating the forge bellows had come to an end. Senku then taught everyone how to preserve food in cans for the winter. With the inventions created by Senku, the lives of the Ishigami village had become more abundant, and they no longer had to worry about food shortages during winter. After many days of research and experimentation, Senku finally succeeded in making filament light bulbs. On the evening of Christmas, he illuminated the entire village with many electric light bulbs. As winter approached, Senku continued to create a vacuum tube to amplify the sound of the telephone. However, when Senku used Japanese bamboo as a filament for the vacuum tube, the filament burned out in an instant. After Christmas, everyone continued to celebrate the New Year together, and while they were watching the sunrise, Senku noticed that Suka was holding a glowing stone. Senku realized that the stone Suka was holding was a piece of tungsten ore used as a filament for hairpins 3,700 years ago. Tungsten ore would emit light when exposed to the ultraviolet rays of the sun. Knowing that there was tungsten ore in the area, Senku and Chrome decided to go look for it. Due to the large weight of the tungsten ore, Senku called Magma to help carry it back. Chrome then led the group to a cave where he had seen tungsten ore before. As they ventured inside, Magma suddenly rushed forward and pushed Senku away to another location. It turned out that Magma was trying to save Senku from falling into a hole caused by a collapsed ground. While Senku was trying to hold Magma back, both of them fell into the hole together. Fortunately, the hole was shallow, so they didn't suffer any serious injuries. Right after that, Chrome stood above and filled the hole with water from a nearby lake, allowing Senku and Magma to float up and easily escape from the hole. After witnessing Magma's selflessness in saving Senku, their perception of him changed. Shortly after, the group finally found a massive rock containing tungsten ore, so they smashed it and obtained a pile of tungsten ore to bring back. On the way back, Magma unexpectedly kidnapped Senku and led him to a certain location. It seemed that Magma, along with Gen and others, had a plan. It turned out that today was Senku's birthday, and taking advantage of his absence, they made an effort to create a telescope for Senku because they knew he enjoyed stargazing. Although Senku didn't show it on his face, he deeply appreciated the birthday gift from everyone in his heart. After bringing the tungsten ore back to the village, Senku immediately had someone crush them into fine particles, and they had to mix tungsten powder along with some compounds, and then heat them inside a glass container to 1000 degrees. Senku told Chrome that he had to use all his knowledge to heat the furnace to that temperature, while Senku brought Gen in to mix the tungsten powder with the compounds until it solidified. But after listening to Senku's lengthy explanation, Gen didn't understand anything. Meanwhile, Chrome and the others were doing everything they could to make the furnace as hot as possible. The next morning, Senku was surprised to see Chrome using a pile of things to increase the temperature of the furnace. Senku pressed the tungsten mixture into a hair-like wire and put it into the furnace. Thanks to that, they had a modern world hair wire, and after having the hair wire for the vacuum tube, everyone continued to make other parts for the telephone. After a long period of effort, they finally completed the first telephone. However, Senku suddenly remembered that they had to make two instead of just one because they wouldn't know whom to call with only one. When they realized that the two telephones could be used to talk to each other, everyone was amazed. Just after completing the two telephones, Senku suddenly remembered his father's grave, so he hurriedly ran to his father's grave and spat on the tombstone to inspect it. After breaking the tombstone, Senku discovered a disc recorded with a bottle bottom. Everyone was thrilled to know that this disc preserved Senku's father's voice. When recording, the sound would make a needle move and carve small grooves on the disc, and if they wanted to listen to the sound again, they just needed to make the needle follow those grooves. Senku's father suggested that the astronaut team record it on a bottle cap to pass it on to future generations, so they tried to gather everything to make a classic recording machine. Present-day Senku has also made a classical music player to listen to his father's disc. When the villagers heard the voice of their departed ancestors from thousands of years ago, they were extremely amazed because they couldn't imagine they would one day hear the voices of their ancient ancestors. Senku's father didn't want to be long-winded because he knew Senku didn't like sentimental greetings. Right after that, the astronaut team, along with the singer Lillian, performed her most famous song. When the villagers heard the song, they were moved to tears. Chrome couldn't believe that people in the past could create such amazing music. But Senku explained that besides music, there were many other forms of entertainment in the past. Senku said he would definitely bring those things back through science, and to do that, they needed to defeat Tsukasa in the upcoming battle. And that was the recap of the anime series named DR Stone. If you enjoyed it, hit the like and subscribe button to support me. What is your favorite character in this anime series, or what topic that you want me to do next? Don't forget to let me know in the comment section. Thank you, and see you again in the next videos.